Welcome back to the TED Shed. We've done a couple of interviews now that we've shared on YouTube, but Glenn and I thought it would be a great idea to get together on a regular basis.
Yeah, once a week, I reckon.
Yeah, here in the shed and have a chat. Like, we hear constantly in the community things like, does it pass the common sense test or does it pass the pub test? So we thought, well, why not pick a couple of topics once a week, maybe 3 topics, spend 5 minutes on each topic, and just discuss them here, and that'll give you the opportunity from watching wherever you are to join the conversation through the chat below and share your opinions with us. So, I mean, you've got opinions. I've got opinions.
Absolutely. And if you agree or disagree with us, we'd love to hear about it. You know, like there's things that are happening in the community and happening in the world right now that we all know about, that we all have opinions on. So if we can get those across and, you know, you can have a bit of input back into us, then yeah, we're happy to keep running and doing that, Jace.
Yeah, exactly. Look, and it actually can even contribute to further discussions. If there's something really topical that you're mentioning in the comments, we might bring that as a discussion point on the show. The only thing I'd like to say though is because we do talk about mental health, and I think on our show we've actually talked about keyboard warriors, etc. Only thing we do ask is that if you want to join the debate, look, just be respectful of each other. Glenn and I disagree on a lot of things, but we're still great mates.
That's all right.
And we expect everyone else who is joining into our discussions, here through this platform, just do the same, right? So it's fine to disagree with somebody, but just
keep it civil.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep it civil, exactly. Because at the end of the day, we're all human, and we all want to look out for each other, and we all bleed the same colour. So by bashing someone on a keyboard, you might feel great when you go, I'm going to go watch some TV now, but at the end of the day, you don't know the mental repercussions of that to that person.
Exactly, and that's what we're not about, and that's definitely not what the Shed's about. So with that, let's get into our first episode of Shed Talk. All right, so on to our first topic. It's a very hot topic, has been for 2 years, COVID.
Yep.
Okay, so we've only got 5 minutes, so I'm going to rip through this. I'm starting the timer now.
Yep.
Okay, so I want to start with some facts.
Yes.
Okay.
Good idea.
Yeah. All right. Yep. So cases in Australia, and this is as of the 14th of July 2021. So cases in Australia, 31,431. 912 deaths. So 2.9% of cases have resulted in death.
Yep.
There's currently 925 active cases in Australia and 128 hospitalisations, keeping in mind that Queensland puts everyone who's positive into hospital. Cuckoo clock's going off in the background. For deaths, we've had 912 deaths and 2 this year, 2 just last week in New South Wales.
Yep.
So the breakdown of those 912 deaths are 58 people have died under the age of 70, and over the age of 70 has been 854. So that's 93% of people who have died are over the age of 70.
With COVID.
Most of them dying with COVID over the age of 80. So the large majority is in the 80s and 90s and above.
Yep.
Okay, so and then just quickly to touch on that. So for vaccinations, people over 70, 74.12% have had their first dose.
Yep.
And 27.88 have had their second dose.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah, and then over 50s is 58% the first dose and 16% the second dose.
Yeah. When you said that many people died with COVID, I don't think that many people had COVID. Like, I know that was in a lot of nursing homes were reporting that the people were dying with COVID, but then I also heard that maybe there was some paybacks for that because they died with COVID. Did you hear that, Jess?
I think the question there is not the cause of death, but with. So if somebody died through natural causes because they were late stages of life and had COVID, it was still recorded as a COVID death, right?
But how?
Because
did they have COVID?
Well, we don't know what the respiratory disease was, if it killed them, if it was a stroke or some other, but they had COVID.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I mean, maybe someone can share with us if there's any facts, but
yeah, definitely.
Don't know whether or not COVID was the cause or contributed, I guess, to part of that.
Yeah, okay.
So but let's just keep moving because of the time frame.
Sure.
So current lockdowns, what are your thoughts?
Absolutely terrible, mate. Like, I own a small business, and I know there's a lot of small business owners out there that are really struggling through this time. Because at the end of the day, our bills don't stop. So if you're leasing a place and doing this and doing that, maybe it's an overreaction. If like you said, 74% of the vulnerable, which was we're going to flatten the curve and protect the vulnerable, well, I think we're protecting the vulnerable. Yeah. Why do we keep going to snap lockdowns?
Well, exactly. A lot of them have been vaccinated, I guess now.
Yep.
I'm vaccinated. I've had both my Pfizer shots.
I'm unvaccinated.
So I think you're right. We've got a population that is susceptible, and a large majority of them are vaccinated. So if we keep protecting the vulnerable in our communities,
Which is what's
the rest of us should be able to get on. I mean,
That's right. Agree.
we basically had our national cabinet last week say that they're going to adopt a 4-stage plan. And one of those things was lockdowns was the last resort.
And we've gone straight back into them. Why have we gone straight back into them? Because, mate, it affects so many things. It affects tourism. It affects, a lot of business. And to be honest with you, small business holds up Australia. Let's be honest. There's a lot of mum and dad businesses out there that are contributing their tax every 3 months, and now we're getting told to do this, do that, do this. In Brisbane today, we got told we've got to wear masks for another month, right? We've got to check in
another week.
Another week. My mistake. We've got to check in. If we go into a shopping centre, we have to check into every freaking shop we go into.
Yeah. I even saw some of the toilets actually have the QR codes.
Are you serious?
To check into the toilets, yeah.
That really it pisses me off, Jace. I'm not going to lie to you, mate. And it's going to get to a point where I think the public will revoke.
Yeah, and I think what we need to do, and look, I'm not downplaying the risks of COVID at all.
Definitely not.
I think that we're at a stage now, though, that we're actually had, don't quote me on the figures, but over 10 million vaccinations to this date. So we're actually in a period of time now, we have more people vaccinated. We have learned a lot more about the variants and this, how to treat this thing. We should be medically prepared, but we're still reacting like it's an unknown and it's day one, like back from 2 years ago. Do you think knee-jerk reaction, couple of cases, borders closed?
Do you think there's a bit of scaremongering from the government? Be honest. What's your thought on that?
Of course, when you have to, every health professional has a different opinion, whether it be Australia, state, or national, or like international. But you just got to listen to these people. They sit there and go, I think South Australia, we locked down with 0 cases because we fear this could happen. If we lived in fear all the time, you wouldn't get in the car.
That's right.
Right? You
exactly.
wouldn't go outside. Exactly.
You wouldn't leave, mate.
Through fear. So I think.
Yeah.
Look, and 5 minutes is up.
5 minutes is up.
There you go. All right. Well, based on that, we've used our 5 minutes. So I think COVID is a very topical discussion.
Oh, most definitely, Jace.
And I think we're probably just going to have to revisit that.
Jump on, throw your comments in. We'd love to hear them, and I think we'll have to touch on this topic probably next week.
Yeah. I reckon if you've got an opinion on COVID, whether you agree with me or agree with Glenn, start chatting down below and we'll do our best to join the conversation. All right, on to the next topic. All right, Glenn, so we'll get on to our second topic. So this week we thought, let's just talk sport in general. 5 minutes starts now. So big event, I'll just start and then you can go. Ash Barty winning Wimbledon. We're based here in Springfield. Ash is a local girl.
Yeah.
We've basically all had, as a community, been able to follow her career. And I think as a lot of us, I don't know about you, but had a very late night last weekend watching Ash win the...
I didn't.
I did. I think 1:30, 2 o'clock to bed.
Yeah.
Watching Ash win Wimbledon. How fantastic.
Yeah, and it's great to see for an Australian sportswoman of the Aboriginal descent, which she is, succeed at such a great level in world sport, and I seen Tom Cruise was there and the Royals were there, so that's a massive moment for a Springfieldian, as you can say. It's a word I just made up, check it out in the dictionary.
But on an international stage, in front of a good global audience, it's it's an achievement. And as you said, like young girl from Springfield, but she's emulated her idols, I guess.
Yeah,
and she's had a lifelong dream to do that, and well done.
Yeah, and I think she's very humble. Like you said, you've bumped into her at Bunnings and
sprinkler section of Bunnings. World #1.
Yeah, and I think that's. I think she's good for that. You know what I mean? And you can see how much respect she has for the game.
Yeah.
And she's worked her ass off to get where she's got. And well done, Ash Barty.
A great role model for our kids.
Let's talk about NRL, Jace.
Oh, okay. Let's go there. I don't follow the NRL. So
I don't really either, mate.
State of Origin is probably the only thing I watch.
Agree, right? And how good were Queensland last night?
They showed up.
They showed up, and you can see that within the first 2 minutes of the game. I didn't see the end of the game. I get up pretty early, but it was good to see Queensland actually show up and show some grit and get the win there. Yeah.
But the NRL's copped a bit of flack today, and in relation to obviously border closures. Their travel bubble.
So they bloody should, mate. At the end of the day, they're kicking people out of hotels that have got bookings up at Twin Waters. People had weddings booked in. They had people flying up from down south. 10 rooms, I think, booked. And
10 rooms and the wedding, I think.
And the wedding has been cancelled.
Yeah.
What the hell, NRL? Have a good look at yourselves, because that is ridiculous, and that's harmful for people's, that's harmful for people's lives, mate.
Yeah, it's prioritising, I guess, the sport and sportsmen over everyday Queenslanders who are just trying to get on with their lives.
That's exactly right. They probably put their wedding off a year already with the whole.
Well, they did. It was 18 months in the planning, and they got displaced.
Absolutely.
But it wasn't just at Twin Waters. It's Novotel on the Gold Coast. I believe there's a couple of teams at South Bank in the city, and then there's obviously the Sunshine Coast. So anyone, because they've had to, I guess, quarantine that entire hotel to make it a bubble, anyone who's had a booking there for the foreseeable future is basically displaced to allow the NRL to come up here.
Absolutely ridiculous. Have a good hard look at yourself, NRL. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Mate, let's talk about Daniel Ricciardo. And I know that's something you like.
Yep.
How do you think the move to McLaren has been for him, Jace?
Well, I don't know. I don't think it's gone the way that he wanted. He's been shown up, obviously, by his teammate. I mean, Lando Norris is doing an outstanding job in McLaren. And obviously, he's had some time in the seat before Daniel. But Daniel's just been left wanting this year.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate to see, and I think Daniel's got a big heart and a lot of spirit, and I hope things change there for him most definitely,
Yeah, and I think the time for excuses is over, because when he first got in the car, it was, it's a new car, I need to adjust to it, but we're quite a few races in and the results aren't coming, and he's basically got the same tools and equipment as his teammates. So when we're talking runs on the board, we're talking about young Lando Norris up there on potentially or front rows and podiums, and Daniel's just lingering down in the back markers.
Tokyo Olympics, what do you think? Do you think it should go ahead?
I'd hate to be a sportsman playing in empty stadiums. I don't think, because I think sportsmen, they basically train their whole lives to get to these events, and it's just going to be like going to Little Athletics. But I mean, there's no crowd, there's no that atmosphere of the opening ceremonies, the medal presentations, the swimming, having the crowd egging you on. It's going to be like crickets.
Yeah, and I think on a world stage, I think maybe we should have forgotten about it this year, just with everything that's going on. We've already spoken about that, but I think it's. I think there's a lot of money involved and a lot of big business involved in sport, as we know, and those things have to go ahead. I definitely wish Ash Barty well. I hope she brings gold medal back to Ipswich, because that'd be fantastic.
Yep.
And I know she's playing in the tennis there.
Wish the athletes well, but
most definitely wish the athletes well. I just wish them to be safe when they return.
And then better environment for them to be at this elite level, and basically 5 minutes is up, but in a stadium with no one is going to be pretty heartening, disheartening. So, all right, that's topic number 2. On to number 3.
All right, topic 3, Jace.
Yep.
I want to talk about electric cars. Okay. Obviously, we did neutral 10 plus years ago.
Yep.
And welcome back to all our loyal fans. And
I think we've aged a bit.
I think I'm a bit greyer and a bit fatter since then. But anyway, that's another story for another time.
All right, let's start our 5 minutes.
Okay,
time's on. Go.
So, what do you think about electric cars? And people think they're doing the right thing. They go out, they buy a Tesla.
Yep.
They plug it into their wall. What do you think the difference is to the global emissions compared to driving their car 500 kilometres on a tank of petrol or a tank of diesel?
Yep.
Or hybrid, half-half, compared to a full plug-in car like Tesla. Now, I know you're across this whole thing. Give me what you think.
Well, it's probably a difference of opinion. Okay, so if we look at diesel pollutants are very harmful, right? Carcinogenic, and everyone's sort of acknowledging, I guess, that they're not the future.
Yeah,
and we've got to transition. That's people want to acknowledge. So, regardless of your beliefs of what Australia's doing and where we're at with climate change, etc. If we go back to your question, how you charge the vehicle, I think, is critical. Yep. So, if you're sourcing your electricity from a power station, that may be coal-fired, etc. like that.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. That's
So there's an element of that, but at the same time, a lot of these people who are environmentally conscious and buying a Tesla would likely have maybe battery storage at home or solar panels. So what they'll be aiming to do if they are socially conscious is try and source renewable energy to power that vehicle. So it really it's a tricky question, because something like an electric car really depends on what that electrical source is.
But do we have the Tesla batteries available at the right price where people can justify them to put them in, or a big solar system like I've just put in a solar system? do we have that available to charge those cars overnight?
Well, yes and no, because the other thing that a lot of electric car owners may do, for example, is when they're at work or at a shopping centre, they'll plug into the fast charger there. And
that comes from the coal-fired.
Well, it depends. Once again, it depends on where that Tesla power station or charging station is sourcing their electricity from. So
and that's an unknown for all of us.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what makes it hard. But typically, the thing is that those chargers can actually supply a rapid charge to that vehicle, whereas at home would be a trickle charge. The problem with a home, like you mentioned, a Tesla battery. The problem with those is the capacity that they store will typically only supplement power through the night. If you can actually drain those batteries charging your car. And I know in my household, for example, when I turn on my ducted air conditioning or heating, there's no way that a battery store in my home would sustain my electricity consumption.
So it comes back to the thing is, even though I'm buying an electric car, am I helping the environment?
Well, I'd say you wouldn't do it for financial reasons.
No.
Like you take it the Hyundai Kona as an example, the petrol variant versus the electric. I'm sure on the figures, $35,000 difference.
Wow.
Right. So
that's a lot of fuel.
Exactly. Would you go and spend, like the buyback on that is, would you go and spend an extra $30,000 to say I'm saving on fuel? No. It doesn't make any financial or economic sense, right?
Yeah, and I guess in Australia, Jace, like we're a very small population. And you look at places like India and Japan, and you think, Jesus, as a consumer of a petrol car, which I think we both are right now, it's like, man, we're a blip in the ocean to the global pandemic of carbon emissions.
Yeah. But I think everyone's got to do their bit, though.
No, I agree with that.
You can say here's the big emitters.
Yeah.
Right? Like you got the Chinas, you got the US. But if you take them out of the equation, you've got the rest of the countries around the world, all the little, like the Australias and every other independent country. If they all sat back and said, not our problem because we're not a big emitter, but collectively all of those countries together, I think you'll find are actually
bigger than those other ones.
Exactly, right? So if everyone sits back and says, not my problem. But I think one of the things that Australia really suffers from is there are some electric cars in the market overseas that the car manufacturers just aren't bringing here.
Oh, really?
No. So there's, you go to America and look at hybrid choices and electric choices, far outweighs anything that we can, buy here as a consumer. And it's not helped by the fact that you've got buffheads like the Victorian government who want to implement an EV tax. Right? And they're saying, we need to have an EV tax to pay for the roads. But you pay your fuel excise. Now, that goes to the federal government. It doesn't go to a state government to build roads, right? So it's just a money grab. But when you have people like that talking, I think New South Wales is debating it, Queensland's starting to discuss that, right? These cars are expensive, right? And everyone else in the world is actually turning around going, let's give grants, let's go, no rego, etc. If you adopt that technology to get people to transition. But here in Australia, we're like going, no, what we're going to do is we're going to tax you. Right, we already still charge a stupid tax, which is the luxury car tax.
Yes,
right?
Agree. Right, import tax.
It was introduced to protect the car industry here in Australia, and we don't have a manufacturing industry. But the government's still, got that needle in the arm, and they're addicted to the taxes.
Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah. So, question on EVs, pollutant pros and cons. Look, it's a slide ruler on that one.
Yeah, jump in, throw your comments at the bottom. We'd love to hear both sides of your story to our argument, and we might pick this up again one time in Shit Talk, Chase.
Yeah, excellent. Right. All right, well, so that's a wrap on our first little, mini-series of episodes that we plan to do on a regular basis here in the shed. 3 topics, 5 minutes each. We really do value your feedback. So, as we said at the start, jump in below, like whether you jump in on our Facebook page, whether you comment on Instagram, or here on YouTube, right? So just interact with us.
Interact.
We want to hear what you think. I mean, we're just 2 buffheads here behind a camera with a YouTube show. But what we really feed on is what you guys want. We want to create content that's relevant to you.
And what you guys are thinking at home, like what has this brought up in your mind about the topics we've just spoken about, and we'll retouch on these because 5 minutes is not a long time, but we will definitely retouch on what we've spoken about, and maybe with some of your comments might get a bit of a mention in there as well. Yeah, look, we might totally not have our finger on the pulse. We might be wrong, living in our own little bubble, but Glenn and I
we have differences of opinions, and we'd expect you would too, right?
Absolutely.
So some people are going to be pro the topics we discussed.
Yep.
And, you know, we just want to hear from you. So make sure you like, subscribe, and please, the best thing you can do to help us on our mission to raise money for charity
Yep.
is share this content. Right?
Absolutely. And keep it civil, people. We're all human.
Yeah. All right, respect to everyone out there. Thanks for taking the time to tune in and watch a couple of buffheads share their opinions.
In a bar.
Right. See you next time.
See ya.